Welcome to this week's blog. Well, if you followed this blog or been on our website, we've given you some great detail, behind the scenes information about Gaza and what's happening there. There's been special reports sent out. We've talked about ISIS and Iraq and what's going on there. We've talked about Syria and the civil war there and over 150,000 plus people being killed. We've talked about Libya. In fact, we just had to send some F-16s in there a few weeks ago to remove personnel from an embassy. So after 3 years, things are still going crazy there. And I still want to talk about world events this week, but I want to talk about it from a different perspective. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And someone just sent me about 24 pictures, and it was titled, some of the greatest photos ever taken. And there were some wonderful pictures about nature and some wonderful shots of human events, but there was a couple that just really touched my heart. And I kind of want to share those because I want to look at world events, but I want to challenge us not to lose our compassion. As we gather information, as we pray, and as we see things happening around us, we just can't lose our compassion. One of the pictures was of these two ladies who were having, you assume, a lunch or a dinner, and they had some shopping bags by their feet. They were in a full glass picture window, and they were in a restaurant or a store, and it was elevated off the ground, so it was like a major city, some kind of restaurant in a major city, and they had some shopping bags, and they were having a lunch together, and they were waving at the photographer. But what they couldn't see was that below them, directly below where their table was, on the outside, on the sidewalk, there laid a homeless man. Now, the building was elevated, so there was a 3-foot drop or something there, and they really couldn't see beyond that. But the picture, I think that's why the photographer took the picture. You had these two women who were enjoying a wonderful meal and did some shopping and had a wonderful day. And in contrast, there was a man lying there, sleeping just with no food, and who knows when the last time he ate. So as I look at pictures like that, it just really bothered me, and it made me think of some wonderful stories and what we can do to help. It reminded me of a story in Africa. A missionary was telling me that she was there and she met a group of ladies, and these ladies meet twice a week together, and they're between the ages of 58 and 90. And basically they get together and they just take, for lack of a better word, garbage. They take recycled paper or plastic and whatever they can find, and they make things out of it. They make bags or whatever they can make, and then they sell them. Well, why do they do this? These ladies are between 58 and 90 years old, and they're in poverty in Africa, and they're trying to take garbage and make something out of it because this group of ladies is supporting 60 orphans. These orphans, their parents died mostly of HIV, but just the contrast. You have a group of ladies twice a week getting together, meeting, who have very little to themselves, but yet they're trying to help support orphans. And it just gave me a picture of that's what compassion's about. You do whatever you can with whatever you have. Another picture in this what was emailed to me was a little girl in Syria. And she was 7 or 8 years old, and she had a pail in her hand and a plastic bucket in her hand, and she was desperately trying to find water. And there was a broken water spigot there, and you could see the frustration in her face. And behind her was a little boy, maybe 2 or 3, kind of playing on the ground. And it just made me think, is this little girl, this little 7-year-old or 8-year-old, is she trying to find water for herself, for her brother? Is she by herself? And all that's going on in Syria. Over 5 million people have been displaced. 2.5 million have become refugees. And these refugees are in other countries, and the ones that are paying the price are the kids. And it really made me think about, how do we help someone like that? What do we do? And you may not be able to go to Syria, but I have friends here in town who, on their own, 3 times a week, they pack up their pickup truck with 5 or 6 coolers of ice and water, and they go downtown and they just hand out water to people who are in need. They fill up cups of ice, and they just do what they can to help people. And that's the compassion I want to challenge us with. Because when you don't have compassion, what do you have? And the last picture I want to share with you was in this group. It was a picture, it goes back 100 years. It goes back to 1915. And it was from the country of Turkey. And there was a Turkey official. It was a man. He was well-dressed. He looked healthy. And he was holding up a sandwich or a piece of bread, it looked like. And what he was doing, he was taunting some kids who were obviously very malnutrition. It looked like they were, they could barely reach up. They had no strength. There was just skin and bones. There was 6 or 7 of them on the ground, and they were reaching for this food, and this man was just taunting them with that. And that's just pure evil. And when you look at a picture like that, it makes you angry. And I thought, does that happen in this world? And I remember a story that came out of a city on the East Coast where a 78-year-old man went to get milk, and he was crossing the street going back home, and they found out later on it was two young drivers. They were racing in the road, and they hit this man, this 78-year-old man, knocked him to the ground and never stopped. It was a hit and run, and they kept going. But then other pedestrians would come by, and they would see him on the ground, and they wouldn't stop to help. Other drivers came by and either went around him or slowed down, but no one stopped to help. The police chief, came out and said, "This is ridiculous for our city. How can our city be so inhumane?" And he had security footage from a store, and that's where you saw the people watch this man and ignore him. That picture bothered me of this Turkey official from 1915, but there's still people in the world who may not care, and that evil may still be there. And when you see it with ISIS, and when you see it with Gaza, when you see it with Libya, and when you see it with Syria, it's around our world. It's not that far away from home. So this week I just want to challenge you to let's work in compassion. Let's reach out to people who need help. What can we do? There's still something you can do. So for the love of God, for the love of people, I just want to challenge you as we look at world events and we see the chaos and the poverty and the hurt and the pain, realize that those conditions are still here at home. And as we try to say, okay, what day are we living in? Are we in the end times? What's coming next? If that's coming next, there's still more pain coming, there's still more heartache coming, and I'm just calling for the church to be ready, to be ready to be caring, compassionate, and to be someone that can provide not only answers, but support. So let me just challenge you to help someone out this week. In a loving, compassionate way, be there for someone else. God bless you.